I'm Samantha Torres, and I'm here stating that on the first day of class, I thought to myself, and I thought, what did I get myself into? And I didn't know what argumentation was. Moreover, I had no idea of how it was to be a debater, and I thought to myself, I cannot construct a compatible argument. So Professor Donald Peters, you gave me a better understanding of what argumentation actually is. So what is argument? Lathrop's definition that I agree with states, a particularized form of language which serves the function of reason going, or of providing justifications. Argument is a thing or an object, and it does not possess or interaction. Context and personalities do not matter in argument. To construct a fair and effective debate, you should first have the phrasing of the topic, determining the obligation, and structure the policy of the debate case, and the last and foremost is a Tollem model. The first is a topic of what the debate is essentially about. Overall is finding the resolution, which is in other words the proposition, and it is a formal statement expressing the basics of a controversy. There are three types of proposition. The first is the proposition of fact, which is descriptive and predictive. The second is proposition of policy, in which statements which assert that a course of action should be taken. The third is the value, which is evaluating the worth of a particular concept, issue, and value. And after that is phrasing the resolution or the proposition, which first should have a clear statement and should be unbiased. The second is a presumption, which should be the innocent until proven guilty. Others that come in play is the stock issues, which is a significance. You can question, is this issue truly important? And this includes the quantitative and the qualitative of the issue. The second is the harms, which is the problem or the argument. The following is the inherency, which has three parts. It's structural, attitudinal, and existential, and which is what is preventing the harm from being overcome. Following is a topicality, which is the plan to overcoming the problem. First and foremost, the plan should meet the guidelines of the resolution. Second, it must have an actor or an agent in supporting the plan that you're going to overcome. And the third is the topicality must specify what the agent or actor is doing to fulfill the requirements of the resolution. Following the topicality is a solvency, which is proof of how the plan will overcome the harms. Following is a Tollem model, which is components can contain the claim, which is the statement you want to prove, in other words, the conclusion of the argument. The second is a grounds or data, which is the proof of the argument that is designed to support the claim. This includes scientific studies or data. The third is the warrant, which is the reasoning, explanation, or justification as to why the data proves the claim itself. This evidence alone cannot justify an argument. You have to connect the dots. Other components include backing, qualifier, and the rebuttal. Furthermore, throughout the semester, ethics of argument were also taught. And what are ethics? Ethics are completing understandings of the good, or the value of life, judgments, decisions in which we make, whether they're right or wrong. There are actually three dimensions of ethics, which include the end, which is the intended outcome of the act. The second is the means, the action, mechanism, technique by which the end was achieved. And the third is the motive, which is the reason or justification for the act itself. Within the ethics, it includes the 4 C's, which is clarity, coherence, consistency, and completeness. Clarity is to be able to answer the moral question. Coherence is there needs to be a logical flow for the explanations. And completeness is how well the ethical stance take into account of all aspects of one's life. Furthermore, which is the most enjoyable part of the lecture, was the argument of humor and argumentation. So why is humor an important argument? It is over 50% of Americans get news from entertainment, which includes late night talk shows as Daily Show, Saturday Night Live, and so forth. It is also easier for us to laugh about our leaders or president and politics. Humor helps us understand issues and makes it less serious for citizens. There's actually a humor as a rhetorical tool, which includes it can look beyond, allows people to become observers while acting, and it helps confront issues we aren't comfortable with. Comedy seeks to control behavior through ridicule, and we don't give up on others. Comedy humanizes the subject itself, and it decreases the distance between the citizens and the leaders. Leaders are actually seen as human beings when they're seen in the humor argument. But there's also negative aspects. We see humor as reality is too real. We are constantly bombarded with the truth, and the so-called truth, which then we cannot distinguish what is the truth and what is not the truth. And we then cannot decide what reality truly is. And furthermore, the last lecture that really stood out was when it was stated to argument with the professor. The don'ts is when asking questions, you shouldn't say, "Oh, I'm confused." And when you ask questions, the question shouldn't be asked if they could be answered through reading the syllabus itself. And first and foremost, you should not ask if we're doing anything important in class and ahead of time and trying to skip class. And of course, you shouldn't argue through an email. Questions about your grade before the assignment is returned shouldn't be asked for. And of course, you shouldn't let emotions get to you. And of course, we should not attack the professor if an argument is come upon. Which in actuality, you should ask questions that are close-ended, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask any questions that you are really unclear about. And you should give the professor time to think about the issue itself. And of course, the first exam, I truly put my effort on it, and I studied and studied, and I actually ended up with an F. And I was really surprised in this F because I really studied and I wasn't really satisfied with this. So because of that, I came into your office hours and discussed about the exam itself. Moreover, I would email you with any unclear questions I had about any assignments or any further questions I had about the class. On the upside, for the current issue discussion and then assignment and the interpersonal essay, I did get at least an A or a B. I kept getting great grades with that because I put my full-on effort with those, because I saw that with the exam 1, it wasn't me, because getting an F is not doing well in the class. Moreover, for the exam 2, I felt as if I was ready, and it was a backfire to exam 1, because on exam 2 I got an A.